Hey guys, Kryptus here. I made this video to help share the basic tips and advice for Fury Warriors in PvP. I'll be discussing topics such as gemming and reforging, professions, and the differences between single-minded Fury and Titan's Grip, followed by the talents and glyphs to choose when either single-minded Fury or Titan's Grip. So again, this is just a very basic approach to how Fury works in PvP for starters, so let's go ahead and begin. Gemming and reforging for Fury is as follows: crit, mastery, haste, but it can come down to personal preference. You may also go crit, haste, or mastery, but I prefer to have heavy crit followed by heavy mastery. It isn't uncommon for me to ignore a socket bonus just to use a 360 crit gem in all my gear, since I want the most crit possible. The reason for so much crit and mastery will be discussed later in this video. Another thing they aim for is having hit at 3%, and I myself prefer to have expertise at around 6%, which isn't necessary but nice to have. It can also be obtained easily with gear for the most part, so don't worry about gemming or reforging for these two stats. As for professions for Fury, blacksmithing for extra sockets, skinning for the crit, engineering is also a good choice for glove enchants and other armor enhancements. Jewel crafting helps with providing stronger gems, and with all that said, any combination of these would work good with blacksmithing. As you see, I went with blacksmithing and skinning so that I could get the most crit possible, and it was also the easiest to level for me. Now let's discuss the basic differences of single-minded Fury and Titan's Grip. We'll start off with what each one provides for benefits, and then we'll go into the talents and glyphs for each one. Single-minded Fury provides 35% increase to all damage, 35% increase to offhand damage for when using melee abilities such as auto attacks or even special attacks. And since you are using one-handed weapons, it means faster attacking speeds, which means constant damage, which won't be as much as burst, but with so much increase to damage output, it can add up quickly over time. Titan's Grip provides ability to hold two-handed weapons, slower but harder hitting strikes which can lead to burst, additional stat bonuses such as stamina, strength, crit, mastery provided with the extra two-handed weapon. And just a quick note that having two-handed weapons in PvP will not increase the amount of PvP power each one provides, so just remember that. So now let's focus on the talents. Single-minded Fury has a few combinations. Tier 1 I chose Juggernaut, then Second Wind, and the 3rd and 5th tier can be interchanged to whatever you feel comfortable with. The most important tiers are the 4th and 6th tier. And here is 3 combinations to choose from when using single-minded Fury. When you want to do big damage, Dragon Roar and Avatar provide very big damage, but it has a long cooldown. So if you combine this with the bonus 35% damage increase of having single-minded Fury, it can make for some very big numbers. And just another quick note, Dragon Roar, the more enemies you have, the less damage Dragon Roar will do. So make sure that you're in a one-on-one situation or have very little opponents around you, so that it will deal the most damage. As for a damage control type of spec, Dragon Roar and Stormbolt provides great burst damage with Dragon Roar, and a range stun that provides some control for range classes that also provides a bit of damage as well. As for pure controlled, you can also go just with Shockwave and Stormbolt. It deals very basic damage, but it does provide a lot of control with stuns. As for Titan's Grip, here are 3 combinations you may choose from if you like. For damage, you have Blade Storm and Avatar, which deals major damage, but again it has a long cooldown, but with this you can be fine attacking more than one enemy. Damage control, we have Blade Storm and Bloodbath for a slow and bleed damage, or Blade Storm and Stormbolt for an additional stun, both good choices that provide good damage and good control. If you want again just pure controlled, Shockwave and Stormbolt, again just like before, provides basic damage with a lot of stun for crowd control. As for major glyphs, these are all personal preference. I myself went with Bull Rush, Death from Above, and the 3rd one is whatever you feel like using, so I use Colossus Mash, which is a good choice. You may also use Rooted Eruption for casters, or you could try Bloodthirst if you really want, but try each one out. There's so many different combinations you can go for, and see which one you enjoy, and then apply these for both single-minded Fury and Titan's Grip. Here's an overview of how to approach PvP with Fury. As I mentioned before, go for heavy crit. I aim to reach at least 28% or more, and then stack however much mastery you can by reforging alone. Gems I use for pure crit or strength. As Fury, Bloodthirst and Colossus Mash are your main abilities to opening the door to more damage. when they crit, it procs Enrage, thus leading to more damage and gives you a special ability called Raging Blow. Once enraged, our passive spec ability of Unshackled Fury will increase your amount of damage based on how much mastery you have. This is why stacking mastery is also a good idea. So as single-minded Fury, you can add up to an extra 25 to 30% damage to Rage and Blow. When combined with Colossus Smash can do very big damage, or if you use Dragon Roar. Both these abilities mixed with Avatar can lead up to a very high amount of burst damage, which is nice for when cooldowns are used and all the stars align properly with procs or weapon enchants. For weapon enchants, I do use Dancing Steel for the strength bonus on my main hand, and I use Windsong to provide me with either 1500 crit or mastery, and the haste bonus doesn't hurt either for my offhand. A rule of thumb to remember is that Fury is very reliant on RNG, meaning your damage will depend on how lucky you can get with procs. So if you are unlucky with certain procs or damage, everything can be really slow and unforgiving, or it can be very high and devastating. Unlike arms, a majority of the abilities with arms are very useful, such as the Healing Debuff or Overpower, which procs can be used to help deal even more damage. Arms and Fury play very differently, and Fury will require a little bit more patience and attention than arms. Another common question is, does single-minded Fury produce rage faster than Titan's Grip? This is hard to answer. They both take about 20 seconds to produce 100 rage from melee only. The difference being is that single-minded Fury does produce rage at a smoother pace rather than giant chunks at a time, but they still both take about 20 to 22 seconds to produce a full bar of rage. The damage between single-minded Fury and Titan's Grip will depend on what you're attacking and how well you use your cooldowns. Single-minded Fury will provide a lot of constant damage with heavy bursts at the cost of long downtime. For example, if you use Dragon Roar on Avatar, your burst will be very high, but at the same time the downtime will be about 2 to 3 minutes before you can actually do that amount of damage again, so it may be ideal to use this combination for very short fights. Titan's Grip has burst heavy damage with melee strikes, and a Blade Storm Bloodbath combination can add a lot of damage and pressure with very low downtime when compared to Dragon Roar and Avatar. Whether you decide to go single-minded Fury or Titan's Grip, one thing to take into consideration is damage will fluctuate a lot, and it will take time to fully understand where your damage comes from. The constant managing of procs will be tough, and when not to use Rage and Blow, or when to use cooldowns will also come into a factor. With all that in mind, single-minded Fury or Titan's Grip, whichever route you decide to go, will depend on your personal preference and playstyle. But just be aware that you will be in for a tough time as Fury compared to arms in terms of PvP. You will have to practice and practice and practice to understand that RNG can either be a blessing or a curse. But just have fun with it and try it out if you're bored with arms. So this is the end of the video. Sorry if it took so long to watch or if it wasn't very helpful. I did try to keep it very quick and basic for those who are just getting into the Fury PvP aspect of it. If you're interested in seeing some additional rotation videos or anything of that sort, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I also didn't cover defensive abilities or macros in this video, since both Arms and Fury have similar playstyles of when to play defensive, and which can also be learned in many other warrior videos out there. Play what you want, try them out if you have the gear, and if Fury isn't your thing, then go for Arms. The option is always there and is actually the recommended spec to play by many players. If you have any questions or if I missed anything, leave a comment below, because I'm sure I forgot a thing or two that I could put in an upcoming video. Thanks for watching.